You didn't find this message by accident. No, this moment, this very breath, is sacred. You've been led here by divine orchestration because your soul was ready. You've been seeking answers, yearning to understand why your journey feels different. Why does your presence stir discomfort? Why does the noise of crowds weigh on your chest like a storm cloud? This message will reveal a truth your spirit has always known, but perhaps never fully heard. You are not lost. You are not broken. You are a chosen one, marked by divine hands, set apart with purpose. And today, you will come to understand why your soul cannot thrive in the midst of many, and why that truth is not your weakness, but your greatest protection. Before beginning the video, let's subscribe, like this video, and stay with me until the end of this message, and you will understand why you were led here. This is your moment. From the moment you took your first breath, something about you was different. While others seemed to move effortlessly within the flow of the world, you often found yourself on the edges, watching, sensing, knowing. You tried to follow the rhythm around you, but deep within, a quieter melody called you elsewhere. No matter how much you tried to blend in, there was always something setting you apart. That difference wasn't a flaw. It was a sign. You have been marked by something greater than yourself. To be a chosen one is not a title of pride. It's a sacred responsibility. It means your spirit has been wired to perceive beyond the surface, to feel what others ignore, and to carry light into places where shadows rule. It's not a path for the faint of heart. It's a road walked by the few who are called, not by comfort, but by conviction. Even before you understood your purpose, the evidence was there. You saw through facades. You questioned what others accepted blindly. While the crowd chased trends, your soul longed for truth, for something eternal. That inner ache wasn't confusion. It was a calling. And now, that calling is awakening. You were not born to follow the crowd, but to rise above it. Not to seek popularity, but to embody purpose. The loneliness you felt, the misunderstanding you've endured, they are not punishments, but confirmations, signs that you were designed for a higher path. To be chosen means you carry a light the world cannot comprehend, and because of that light, your journey will never be ordinary. It will be sacred, intentional, marked by divine orchestration and supernatural protection. You are not like the rest, because you were never meant to be. As you continue along the path of awakening, you may have noticed something strange yet consistent. Being around too many people leaves you feeling exhausted, anxious, even spiritually suffocated. It's as if the air becomes heavier, your spirit recoils, and your inner peace slowly slips away. At times, you've questioned yourself. Am I antisocial? Is there something wrong with me? But deep down, your soul knows the truth. You are not made to move with the crowd. This sacred disconnect isn't a flaw in your design. It's a form of divine protection. You were created with a heightened sensitivity, a spiritual awareness that allows you to perceive more than just words or appearances. You sense energy. You feel intention. You detect what is unspoken, what lies beneath the surface. And because your spirit is tuned to a higher frequency, being around the masses, where chaos, unresolved wounds, and unconscious energy swirl, creates a sharp contrast. It's like light trying to blend with shadows. The vibrations simply don't align. This misalignment is not a coincidence. It's sacred strategy. The divine has intentionally set you apart, not to isolate you in pain, but to preserve the purity of your purpose. If you were constantly immersed in the noise of the world, your vision would blur, your energy would scatter, and your calling could be compromised. That's why you feel the pull to retreat after social encounters. So when you feel the tension rise in a crowd, when your soul longs for stillness, listen. That is your spirit recognizing the disconnect, not as rejection of others, but as recognition of who you truly are. You weren't meant to carry everyone's energy. You were meant to carry light. You are chosen, and your sacred separation is part of the call. If you've ever felt like life pushed you into seasons of solitude, where friends faded, relationships fell away, and the noise of the world quieted. You're not alone. In fact, you're right where you're supposed to be. For the chosen ones, isolation is never accidental. It's intentional. It's not a punishment, but a divine strategy. When God sets someone apart, He often begins by removing the distractions. Not because you're meant to be lonely forever, but because you're meant to be prepared. Great missions require great focus, and focus is forged in quiet places. Look through Scripture, and you'll see the same pattern again and again. Before Moses led a nation, he wandered the wilderness. Before Elijah called down fire, he hid in a cave. Even Jesus withdrew to mountains and gardens to pray, alone, before walking into miracles. The wilderness was not where they were abandoned. It was where they were anointed. Your isolation has purpose. It is the sacred space where God removes what no longer serves you and begins to whisper the truth of who you are. It is in these hidden seasons that your discernment sharpens, your spirit strengthens, and your calling becomes clearer. When the noise fades, the voice of God can rise. You may grieve the people who left. You may mourn the doors that closed. But understand this: some were not meant to walk with you into your destiny. They were part of your development, not your destination. So instead of resenting your solitude, embrace it. It is your training ground, a place where heaven equips you for what's coming next. You are not being cast aside. You are being consecrated. In the stillness, the chosen are made ready. As a chosen one, your soul is equipped with more than just awareness. It's wired with profound sensitivity. You feel deeply, intensely, and often without explanation. This isn't a flaw. It's not weakness. It is a sacred gift, a divine trait embedded in your spirit to help you navigate a broken world. But with that gift comes a burden. You don't just hear people's words. You feel their pain, sense their energy, and absorb their unspoken emotions. You can walk into a room and detect tension without a single word being said. You know when someone is pretending to smile through pain, when chaos is hidden beneath silence. This is not your imagination. It is empathic sensitivity, and it runs through your very being. Yet while this sensitivity allows you to offer healing, compassion, and truth, it also makes you vulnerable. Without spiritual boundaries, you begin to carry what was never yours: grief, anxiety, anger, fear. Over time, it becomes overwhelming. Exhaustion follows, and you're left wondering why simply being around others leaves you feeling drained. That's why the divine often calls you away from the crowd. It's not because you lack love for people. It's because your heart is so open, it risks being overrun. The world is not kind to open spirits. Many project their wounds without knowing it, and you, being tuned into the soul-level frequency, absorb far more than most ever will. Solitude becomes your sanctuary. In stillness, you release what's not yours. In sacred spaces, your soul is cleansed and your light restored. You must learn to protect this gift, not in fear, but in wisdom. Because your empathy isn't just emotional, it's spiritual. And if you are to lead others into healing, you must first learn to guard your own light. With great calling comes great responsibility. And for the chosen one, that responsibility begins with clarity. The path you walk isn't common. It isn't crowded. It's narrow, intentional, and sacred. And for you to fulfill what God has assigned, your vision must remain clear, focused, and undistracted. This is why your life cannot be cluttered with noise. Distractions may seem harmless, even pleasant at times. But for someone like you, who carries divine instructions, distractions can be dangerous. They blur your inner vision, scatter your energy, and drown out the still, small voice of the divine. You cannot afford to be pulled in every direction. Your mission is too important. When you felt the sudden urge to withdraw from social gatherings, when certain conversations felt hollow or draining, that was your spirit recognizing the dissonance. That discomfort is not random. It's a holy signal reminding you that not every room deserves your presence, and not every voice deserves your attention. Because every moment you spend in misaligned spaces costs you clarity. And clarity is your spiritual compass. Your assignment, whether it's to heal, lead, teach, or awaken others, requires a sharpness that only solitude can sharpen. In the quiet, you hear what heaven is saying. In the stillness, divine blueprints are revealed. Without that space, your path becomes foggy, and your power diluted. The enemy knows this. That's why confusion often comes wrapped in busyness and shallow connection. But you weren't made for surface-level living. You were made to move with intentionality, to walk in alignment with God's rhythm, not the world's rush. So protect your clarity. Guard your focus like treasure. Because your next step may not just change your life, it may awaken someone else's. You've asked the questions in silence. Why is it taking so long? Why do others seem to move ahead while I remain hidden? But what you may not have realized is that your delay is not denial. It is divine orchestration. As a chosen one, your life doesn't follow the patterns of the world. You don't move on society's schedule. You move on heaven's timeline. And while that timing may feel slow, confusing, or even painful, it is always perfect. The divine is never in a rush, because what he is building in you is meant to last. Every closed door, every unexpected ending, every quiet season of your life has been part of a greater design. You are being pruned, refined, prepared, not only for your purpose, but for the weight of it. Because the truth is, your calling demands maturity, depth, and spiritual strength that can't be developed overnight. What looks like a detour is often a divine redirection. While others may chase opportunity, your steps are ordered. God removes people before they distract you. He delays blessings until your foundation is strong enough to hold them. He conceals you in obscurity until you're spiritually fortified for visibility. This is protection, not punishment. So when life feels still, when you sense pause instead of progress, remember, seeds don't bloom the moment they're planted. They grow silently beneath the soil, hidden, but alive. Trust the timing. He who called you knows exactly when to release you. And when that moment comes, you won't have to force anything. You'll simply step into what was always meant to be. Your life is unfolding by divine design, and your season of revealing is drawing near. There's a reason your voice hasn't reached the masses yet. A reason your gifts have remained tucked away in quiet places. A reason your light has been seen only by a few. You have been hidden, not forgotten, not overlooked, but intentionally concealed by the hand of the divine. Being chosen does not always mean immediate visibility. In fact, for many, it means just the opposite. Before elevation comes preparation, and before preparation can complete its work, there must be isolation, refinement, and growth, away from the spotlight. God hid you because he was protecting what he placed inside of you. He was building strength in your silence, shaping your character when no one was watching. He was teaching you to stand without applause, to trust his voice without needing validation, to walk with purpose even when no one understood. You weren't being buried. You were being planted. And just like a seed must remain underground before it breaks through the soil, your hidden season has been necessary. It is in the darkness where roots grow deep. It is in obscurity that resilience is born. When the time is right, and only when it's right, God will reveal what he has been preparing. You will not need to push your way forward. The doors will open because heaven will open them, and you will walk through, not as someone desperate to be seen, but as someone fully equipped to serve. So don't despise your hidden season. It was never meant to confine you. It was designed to complete you. Because what is unseen by the world is still known by heaven. And when heaven reveals you, the world will see the power of a life protected, preserved, and prepared on purpose. So now breathe. Stand in the fullness of who you are. You were not made to blend in. You were never meant to be understood by everyone. You were marked, refined, and commissioned for a purpose only you can fulfill. The separation you've endured, it is not your prison, it is your sanctuary. The silence you've walked through, it was not abandonment, it was divine intimacy. You were set apart because you were set above. Now go forth, not seeking the crowd's approval, but carrying heaven's assignment. Move with clarity. Speak with purpose. Shine without apology. Because chosen one, your time has come. There are moments in life when something extraordinary happens, something beyond our comprehension. You might not realize it, but your mere existence has the power to disrupt the very foundation of the world as it is known. Those around you, once comfortable in their certainty, now face a jarring reality they cannot ignore. Your presence, the way you live, the words you speak, has sent shockwaves into systems built on secrecy, lies, and control. The time has come for the truth to rise and shine in a way the world has never seen. What is happening is not just a coincidence. This is divine orchestration. As one of God's chosen ones, you carry a light, a frequency that cannot be ignored, even by those who have been deeply embedded in a world of deception. You were never meant to see beyond the veil, but somehow you did. And in doing so, you've become an unwitting catalyst for a powerful awakening, one that will shake the very core of the agents entrenched in the system's falsehoods. For years, the agent lived a life dictated by duty, structure, and loyalty to a system that promised protection and order. As a high-ranking figure in the world of secrecy and surveillance, they were trained to trust the system, to believe in the infallibility of their superiors, to follow commands without question, and to guard information with unyielding devotion. This was the reality they had been shaped to accept, a world where everything had a purpose, where every mission was justified, and where every classified document remained locked away for the greater good. To them, the system was not only logical, but essential, the very foundation of a world that required control and structure to function properly. Their training had been rigorous, their understanding of the world finely tuned to follow a strict code of conduct. They had learned to recognize the subtle manipulations of others, to detect lies before they were spoken, and to function within a web of secrecy so vast it was impossible to see the edges. Every action, every decision was based on years of careful conditioning. To question the system, to doubt its purpose, was inconceivable. They had come to trust the rules they had followed, convinced that without them, chaos would reign. The belief that they were part of something greater, something necessary, gave them a sense of purpose and security. The agent saw their role as one of unwavering commitment to the higher cause. No room for uncertainty, no room for doubt. But everything began to shift the moment their path crossed with yours. At first, they dismissed you as just another voice among countless others, a seemingly insignificant individual in a sea of opinions, a small ripple in an ocean of noise. You were just another truth seeker, another person claiming to see beyond the veil of everyday existence, but offering nothing concrete. Yet, something in your presence unsettled them in a way they couldn't explain. It wasn't your words that first caught their attention. It was the way you spoke, the way you hinted at truths that should not have been known. The casual mention of events erased from public memory, or the knowledge of people whose existence should have been impossible to trace, disturbed something deep inside them. It wasn't long before this quiet disturbance grew into a more insistent question, one they had never before dared to ask themselves. What if I've been wrong? The thought, though small at first, lodged itself in their mind like a splinter. Unwelcome, but impossible to ignore. They had lived their entire life under the assumption that the world they served was just and unassailable. Yet the pieces of your words began to shift something in their perception. For the first time, they were forced to confront the possibility that everything they had believed, everything they had been conditioned to trust, could be a lie. This realization didn't come all at once. It was subtle, creeping into their thoughts when they least expected it. But with each new encounter, each new piece of information you shared, the veil of certainty that had once shielded their mind began to tear. And as it did, the agent's world was forever changed. The moment of doubt was undeniable, a pivotal shift in the agent's world. Until now, their beliefs had been rock solid, immovable like the walls of a fortress they had spent years building. These walls were reinforced by training, discipline, and an unwavering trust in the system they served. For them, the world was black and white, clear-cut, and predictable. Every order had a purpose, every mission was justified, and every piece of classified information was locked away for a reason. There was no room for uncertainty, no space for questions. But now, as the doubt began to creep in, it cracked those walls open, allowing a single question to echo louder than anything they had ever known. Could this all be a lie? It was a question they had never allowed themselves to entertain, not in their years of service. But as their certainty began to crumble, so did their reliance on the very system they had pledged to protect. The foundation of their beliefs shook with a force that was impossible to ignore. For the first time, they realized that the world they had trusted, the world they had believed to be infallible, might not be what it seemed. The agent, now consumed with doubt, did what they knew best. They investigated. It was in their nature to search for the truth, to analyze, to uncover the facts that lay hidden in the shadows. They delved into classified documents, scoured reports, and cross-referenced every detail, determined to find evidence that would prove you wrong, to find the flaw that would expose you as a fraud. But what they uncovered instead sent shockwaves through their entire being. The carefully constructed narrative they had followed for years began to unravel before their eyes. The truths you spoke, truths that had once seemed disconnected, fragmented, slowly began to piece themselves together. The agent, once sure of everything, now stood face to face with the undeniable reality. They had been deceived. What had seemed like isolated incidents, what they had dismissed as mere speculation, now revealed themselves as part of a vast hidden network of control, manipulation, and deceit. The lies they had been fed for so long were no longer just theories. They were undeniable facts. The system they had dedicated their life to was not built on the pursuit of justice or truth, but on maintaining a carefully orchestrated illusion. It was not a single conspiracy. It was an entire structure, woven into the very fabric of their world, designed to conceal the truth from those entrusted with protecting it. The agents' belief in the righteousness of their mission shattered as the truth began to dawn on them. They had been a pawn in a game far greater and darker than they could have ever imagined. This revelation did not come all at once. It was gradual, like a slow burn that intensified with every discovery, every hidden truth uncovered. But now the agent could no longer deny what was happening. They had crossed a line and there was no going back. The truth had revealed itself, and with it came the realization that everything they had known had been a lie. The agent, trained meticulously to detect deception and sift through layers of lies, had now stumbled upon a truth so profound, so undeniable, that it shattered the very lens through which they had viewed the world. Up until this moment, their understanding of reality had been clear-cut and structured, truths that were easy to grasp, facts that could be verified with precision. But now, as they looked deeper into the system they had once served, a terrifying realization dawned. The world was not as they had been taught to believe. It was corrupt, controlled, and manipulated from the highest levels, and the truths they had trusted were nothing but carefully constructed facades. What had once seemed like the natural order, their role in protecting the world, upholding the system's ideals, now felt like a cruel illusion. The truth had always been there, hidden in plain sight, but it was obscured by the complexity of the system that surrounded them. It was a labyrinth of lies, each turn leading further into deception, keeping them blind to the true forces at play. The distractions, the carefully woven narratives designed to mislead, had kept them from seeing what was right in front of their eyes. But now, as the pieces of the puzzle fell into place, the agent could no longer deny the staggering reality. They had been part of something far darker than they had ever imagined. This moment of revelation, this dramatic shift in perception, was not unlike the experience of the prophet Elisha's servant in 2 Kings 6:17. When the servant was terrified to see their city surrounded by an enemy army, Elisha prayed that his eyes would be opened, and suddenly, the servant's vision expanded. He saw what had been invisible to him moments before, the mountains filled with chariots of fire, the spiritual forces that surrounded them, ready to protect them. In that instant, the servant's understanding of reality was transformed. What he had thought was a hopeless situation was, in fact, a divine protection in the unseen realm. For the agent, their moment of awakening mirrored that of Elisha's servant. For years, they had operated within a system that appeared to be all-powerful, a fortress of control and order. But now, like the servant who saw the spiritual forces surrounding them, the agent's eyes were open to a truth that had always been there, hidden beneath layers of secrecy and manipulation. The reality they once trusted was no longer enough to hold them. The walls of certainty that had protected them for so long began to crumble, and they were forced to confront the overwhelming truth. The forces they had trusted and fought for were not working for justice, but to maintain control. This moment was both terrifying and liberating, a moment when everything the agent had known fell apart, and they were left to face a new, unfiltered reality. The scales had fallen from their eyes, and there was no going back. The truth had been revealed, and now the agent understood. They had been part of something much bigger than they could have ever imagined, and their path forward would no longer be defined by the lies they had once believed. This journey was no longer about uncovering corruption or exposing a criminal network. It was no longer confined to the physical realm of politics, power, or control. The agent, as they began to see beyond the veil of their previous beliefs, realized something far more profound was at play. This was a spiritual battle, a war between light and darkness, between truth and lies. The truths you had spoken were not merely about the systems of deception they had once served, but about something far deeper, something divine in nature. They were being forced to confront not just the corruption of the world, but the fundamental battle for the souls of mankind. For years, the agent had thought of their work as a logical, rational task, exposing and dismantling physical threats. But now, they saw the true nature of their mission. It was a struggle that extended beyond the human realm. It was a war waged in the unseen realms, a spiritual warfare that transcended the material world they had been taught to trust. They began to understand that the forces they had been fighting for, those systems of control, secrecy, and manipulation, were part of something darker, something that had been manipulating truth for centuries. What had appeared as a clear-cut duty was, in fact, a much larger and more complex spiritual warfare. This awakening was not unlike the transformation of Saul on the road to Damascus, a story that is deeply embedded in the foundations of faith. Saul, a man once deeply entrenched in his own righteousness, was convinced that his persecution of those who threatened his worldview was justified. He believed that his actions were for the greater good, that his understanding of the world was unassailable. But in a moment of divine intervention, a blinding light struck him down, and Saul found himself face to face with the truth he had rejected for so long. He could no longer deny the reality that had been hidden from him. This moment of spiritual awakening, his literal blindness followed by a revelation that shattered his entire belief system, became the catalyst for his transformation into Paul, one of the most influential figures in history. The agent, much like Saul, was now standing at the crossroads of a similar awakening. The foundation of everything they had believed in was crumbling, and in its place a new understanding was emerging, one that was not rooted in worldly wisdom, but in divine revelation. What had once seemed like an impenetrable truth was now revealed as a lie, and what had appeared as the natural order was now exposed as a carefully orchestrated deception. The agent was being stripped of their former understanding of reality, and in its place, they began to see a new world, a world governed not by the systems they had sworn allegiance to, but by forces that transcended human power. This was no longer just about fighting an external enemy. The agent was engaged in a battle for their very soul, a battle between the forces of darkness that had clouded their vision and the light of truth that was now beginning to guide them. As Saul's encounter with the divine light transformed him into Paul, The agent's journey of awakening was leading them toward a greater understanding, a deeper connection to the divine truth that had been concealed for so long. As the agent continued to dig deeper into the tangled web of deception, the pieces of the puzzle began to fall into place. The truth that had eluded them for so long was now painfully clear. You were no mere outsider. At first, the agent had dismissed you as just another voice in the wilderness, a whistleblower or perhaps a conspiracy theorist, someone who spoke of things beyond their grasp. But now, with each layer of truth they uncovered, it became increasingly evident. You were something far greater. You were not an accidental disruptor, nor a mere anomaly in their world. You were a divine messenger, sent not by chance, but as part of a much grander, divine plan. In that moment, the agent's perspective shifted. What they had once viewed as a disruptive force, something that didn't fit within the neat structure they had always known, was now revealed as a crucial part of a higher calling. Just as Joseph had been chosen to interpret Pharaoh's dreams and reveal hidden truths that would alter the course of history, so too had you been chosen to uncover a truth so powerful, it would shake the very foundation of the world they thought they understood. Joseph's story in the Bible speaks of a man who, despite his circumstances and betrayal, was chosen to reveal a truth that saved nations. His ability to interpret dreams was not just a gift, it was a divine calling that set the stage for the fulfillment of God's plan. In a similar vein, your purpose was not accidental, it was predestined. You were not simply exposing secrets or stirring the pot with idle gossip. You were sent to shatter the illusions that had held the powerful in their grasp for centuries, to awaken minds that had long been asleep to the reality of the world. The agent now saw you through a new lens. What once seemed like an inconvenient truth was, in fact, a divine intervention meant to illuminate what had been hidden in the shadows. You were a disruptor of the highest order, one who had been sent to break through the fortress of lies that protected the powerful. But more importantly, you were a catalyst for awakening. Your presence alone had forced the agent to confront the unspoken truths they had once ignored. Now, they understood that you had been strategically placed in their path to reveal the deeper reality, a reality beyond the control of the systems they had once trusted. You were not there to simply expose flaws or weaknesses. You were there to awaken the slumbering minds within the system, those who had been bound by years of false teachings, manipulation, and lies. And as the agent stood at the precipice of this realization, they could no longer deny the truth. You were the chosen one, the messenger sent to awaken the truth in them all. Your mission was not just one of exposure, but of divine revelation, meant to shatter the illusions and illuminate the path for all who were ready to see. The agent, once a loyal servant of the system, now stood at the edge of a profound transformation. Their once unwavering faith in the system that had shaped their life was irrevocably shattered. No longer could they blindly accept the structures that had guided their every action, nor could they ignore the truth that had been laid bare before them. The loyalty, duty, and control they had long upheld as the pillars of their existence now seemed like mere facades, carefully constructed illusions meant to obscure the deeper reality. The agent had seen the truth, and in doing so, they were forever changed. In the wake of this revelation, the agents found themselves at a crossroads. The world they had known, the mission they had served, was no longer a clear path. They had been trained to trust in the system's righteousness, to believe in the orders they followed, and to protect the structures that governed society. But now, the very foundation of those beliefs has crumbled. The truth, the one they had tried to ignore, had forced them to confront something they were not prepared for. The undeniable fact that they had been a part of something far darker than they had ever imagined. The weight of this newfound knowledge pressed heavily upon them. They could no longer turn away from it. The question that now loomed over the agent was a simple yet profound one. What would they do next? Would they continue to serve the very system they had uncovered as corrupt, knowing the lies and manipulations that propped it up? Or would they break free from the chains of their past, choosing a new path aligned with the truth they had discovered? This decision was not an easy one. The agent had spent years living by the code of duty and loyalty. They had sacrificed much to uphold that code. But now, standing on the precipice of a new reality, they understood that to remain silent, to continue serving a broken system, would be to betray everything they had come to know as true. To walk away, however, meant abandoning the life they had known and stepping into the unknown, a life that required courage, vulnerability, and an unwavering commitment to the truth. The path forward was unclear, but it was the only path that aligned with the truth the agent had uncovered. There would be no turning back. What had once seemed like a duty had now become a moral imperative to walk in the light, to leave behind the deception, and to serve a greater purpose, one rooted in honesty, integrity, and divine revelation. The agent now had a choice to make, and though the road ahead was uncertain, they knew they could no longer walk in the shadows. The time had come to step forward, to embrace the truth, and to find a new path that reflected the change that had taken place within them. And you, as one of God's chosen ones, have already made a profound impact. You have shattered the programming that sought to control and deceive. Your words, your actions, and your very presence have shaken the foundations of the enemy's strongholds. You are a beacon of light in a world shrouded in darkness, and your influence will only grow as you continue to speak the truth. The world will resist, and the enemies of truth will attempt to silence you. But remember this: what God has ordained, no man can overturn. The truth is unstoppable, and with it you will rise, unshaken and unbowed, until every lie has been exposed and divine justice is fully realized. That is more than enough. Like this message. Comment below. Subscribe so you don't miss any future revelations. And most importantly, step into your divine calling. May God bless you richly. If you're watching this, it's not a coincidence. You were led here by something greater, by a feeling, a pull in your spirit, a restlessness you couldn't explain. You've likely sensed a shift around you, something unseen yet undeniable. The air feels heavier. Your dreams are more vivid. The people around you seem different. What if I told you this isn't paranoia, but perception? April 2025 is a turning point, a month when your spiritual senses will sharpen and your vision will no longer be limited to the physical world. This video is not just information. It is a call, an inner echo reminding you of who you truly are and why you're here. Your eyes, both physical and spiritual, will begin to receive messages from places you've long forgotten. The natural world, silent spaces, subtle glances, and invisible forces moving around you. This month will challenge your heart, confront your beliefs, and awaken your soul. You will see what others ignore, and once you see, you cannot unsee. Welcome to the awakening of vision. Welcome to April 2025. Not all eyes were created equal. While many look, only a few truly see. For those who are spiritually attuned, those often referred to as the chosen, vision transcends the boundaries of the physical world. Their eyes do more than capture light. They interpret energy, decode silence, and read the vibrations of a world most never notice. As April 2025 unfolds, this ability will not only intensify, it will awaken in ways that may be both startling and sacred. You may begin to perceive things you once brushed off as tricks of the light or coincidences. A shimmer in the corner of your vision, a fleeting shadow that vanishes before you can focus, a sudden brightness in someone's eyes that wasn't there before. These are not accidents. These are glimpses into the unseen, signals from the spiritual realm responding to the frequency rising within you. Your vision is being recalibrated, not just to observe the world, but to discern it. What others dismiss, you will feel deeply. Where others walk unaware, you will tread with intuition. You may notice emotional shifts in people before they speak, sense tension in a room before words are exchanged, or feel a powerful presence in moments of quiet solitude. This is the mark of a soul stepping into higher awareness, a soul no longer content with surface-level living. The challenge, however, is that such vision is not always easy to carry. To see through illusions means confronting truths that others avoid. You may find beauty where no one else sees it, but you will also recognize deception wrapped in smiles, heaviness masked as light, and spiritual warfare hidden in mundane moments. The world around you will not change overnight, but your relationship to it will. Being chosen to see differently is not about superiority. It is about responsibility. The responsibility to remain awake in a world lulled to sleep. The responsibility to trust what your eyes show you, even when it makes you uncomfortable. Because from now on, your sight is not just a function, it is a calling. And once your spiritual vision activates, you can no longer pretend to be blind. You were not meant to live in darkness. You were created to walk in the light and to recognize the divine, even when it's hidden in shadow. April is not merely the fourth month of the year. It is not just a passing point on a calendar or a routine season of transition. For those attuned to the spiritual, April 2025 is a portal, a sacred threshold between what was and what is becoming. It is a divine invitation to step out of old energies, outdated beliefs, and stagnant ways of being, and to walk into a realm of higher awareness, deeper truth, and inner transformation. This month holds the vibration of awakening, and with it, a subtle but undeniable pressure will begin to rise in your soul. A pressure not to fear, but to listen to. It is not chaos, but alignment. As the days of April unfold, you may sense that time feels different, slower in some moments, urgently fast in others. You may feel pulled in two directions, one that wants to cling to the comfort of the known, and another that urges you into unfamiliar, yet magnetic territory. This tension is not a sign that something is wrong. It is a sign that you are standing at the edge of something greater. And the choice to cross that edge must come from within. This portal will not open with loud signs or dramatic spectacles. It will open quietly, through reflection, through stillness, through a series of subtle moments that stir your spirit. The nudge to take a different path, the sudden loss of interest in things that used to matter, the urge to clear space in your home, your heart, your relationships. These are not random urges. They are whispers from your higher self, asking you to make room for what is to come. And what is coming? Truth, clarity, realignment with your soul's purpose. But with truth comes the shedding of illusion, and with clarity often comes discomfort. You may be asked to release versions of yourself that no longer serve your becoming. You may be led to face aspects of your life you've kept hidden even from yourself. The portal of April does not open to everyone. It opens to those who are willing to walk through with open eyes, open hearts, and open hands. Because once you step through, there is no going back. But there is also no greater freedom than living in truth. Nature has never stopped speaking. It is we who forgot how to listen. In April 2025, that silence will break. The natural world, always alive and humming with divine intelligence, will become one of the clearest and most profound channels through which messages are delivered to the spiritually awakened. For those whose inner eyes are opening, trees, winds, birds, and even light itself will begin to speak a language beyond words, a language of symbols, sensations, and sacred synchronicity. You may find yourself drawn inexplicably to certain places in nature, a quiet tree that seems to offer peace, a patch of sunlight that feels like a blessing, a gust of wind that arrives in perfect harmony with your thoughts. These aren't coincidences. They are spiritual responses, confirmation that something beyond the visible is engaging with you, walking with you. Pay attention to these encounters. A bird landing nearby and locking eyes with you, a dog barking in the presence of someone you weren't sure about, or a sudden downpour as you wrestle with a decision. These are signs. They are not random events. They are part of the universe's language, gently nudging you toward clarity. The elements will become mirrors, revealing both what is within you and what surrounds you. The sky may show unusual colors or cloud formations that reflect your emotional state. Water might carry messages through dreams, or a sudden longing to sit near a river or ocean. Even the silence in nature may feel full, as though it's whispering something only your spirit can hear. These moments, though easily dismissed by others, will feel deeply significant to you, because they are. To truly receive these signs, you must slow down. Be still. Observe without needing to explain. Not all truth comes through logic. Some of it arrives through feeling, through repetition, through resonance. If a particular animal keeps appearing in your path, look up its symbolic meaning. If the wind stirs just as you speak your fears aloud, pause and listen. April is a month where the veil thins, and the sacred speaks softly but steadily through creation. Let the earth become your sacred text. Let the wind be your prayer. Let the animals, the weather, the movement of leaves, all remind you that you are never alone, and that the universe is always, always speaking. As the spiritual energy intensifies in April 2025, the changes will not only stir within you, they will ripple through your relationships. This is one of the most profound and often most painful aspects of awakening. When your soul begins to vibrate at a higher frequency, not everyone around you will resonate with that shift. Some connections will deepen beautifully, while others will begin to dissolve, quietly or abruptly, as if a curtain has been drawn back, revealing truths that were always there but went unnoticed. You may begin to feel out of sync with people you once felt close to. Conversations that used to bring joy might now feel forced or draining. You might sense subtle tension, misalignment, or even discomfort around certain individuals. This is not your imagination. This is energy no longer matching. And though it may feel confusing or even heartbreaking, this natural separation is not a punishment. It is a form of spiritual protection. Relationships that were built on illusion, obligation, guilt, or outdated versions of yourself will begin to unravel. The masks people wear, whether consciously or unconsciously, will begin to fall. Their words may remain the same, but their energy will tell you everything. You'll start to notice the discrepancy between intention and action, between appearance and truth. And even if no harsh words are exchanged, something inside you will whisper, "This no longer belongs." Letting go is never easy, especially when it involves longtime friends, family, or partners. But clinging to what no longer aligns with your soul will only hold you back from stepping fully into who you are becoming. Some people were meant to walk with you only for a season, not forever. Honor what you shared, grieve if you must, but release with love. What you lose in comfort, you gain in authenticity. And here's the beauty of it. As the old falls away, space is created for something new, for connections that mirror your growth, that nourish your spirit, that challenge you to stay aligned and awake. Relationships rooted in truth, not performance, in shared frequency, not shared history. This is not the end of love. It is the beginning of real love, the kind that sees you, supports your path, and walks beside your becoming. In the stillness of April 2025, as the outer world shifts and relationships realign, an even more powerful transformation will begin within you. Your inner world, the sacred hidden terrain of thoughts, memories, and buried emotions, will rise to the surface, no longer content to remain in the shadows. This is not an attack. It is not regression. It is a divine invitation to meet the parts of yourself you've long ignored and to finally make peace with them. You may begin to feel waves of emotion with no clear origin. Grief, fear, sadness, even anger from years past. Childhood memories may surface without warning. Dreams might become vivid, intense, or strangely symbolic. People you haven't thought about in years may reappear in your mind. Don't resist these moments. They are not here to haunt you. They're here to heal you. These fragments of your past are not interruptions. They are messages. They're pieces of yourself returning, asking to be seen, to be held, to be loved back into wholeness. Many of us are taught to avoid discomfort, to suppress pain, to move forward and never look back. But true transformation does not bypass the wound. It walks through it. The sadness you feel may not be a sign of weakness, but a sign that something sacred is being released. Emotional pain, when honored, becomes the doorway to deeper freedom. This inner unveiling may also show up in your body. You might experience tension in your chest or gut, headaches, changes in appetite or sleep. These are not random symptoms. They are physical echoes of emotional truths asking for attention. Your body in its wisdom is helping you purge what no longer serves. In this process, gentleness is your greatest ally. You are not required to fix everything at once. You are simply being asked to stay present. Breathe, reflect, write, cry if you need to. Allow yourself to feel what arises without judgment. Healing is not about becoming someone else. It's about returning to who you were before the world told you to hide. Within the quiet of this month, you will rediscover your strength. Not the strength of endurance, but the strength of vulnerability. And through this inner tending, you'll begin to see the parts of you once rejected were never broken. They were sacred all along. As April progresses, your energetic field, the invisible layer of your being that absorbs, processes, and transmits vibrations, will become more sensitive than ever. This heightened sensitivity is not a flaw. It is not fragility. It is the natural result of a soul that is awakening, refining, and tuning itself to a higher frequency. You are no longer walking through the world blindly. You are feeling it, reading it, responding to it with a depth of awareness that many have not yet touched. You may find yourself suddenly exhausted after social interactions, even with those you love. You might walk into a room and instantly feel heavy, uneasy, or out of place, without knowing why. Certain conversations may feel empty or overstimulating, even painful. Crowds may overwhelm you. Sounds might feel louder. Lights too bright. This is your energetic body alerting you. Something has changed. You are no longer able to tolerate environments, people, or patterns that drain your spirit. What you used to ignore or endure now feels unbearable, not because you've grown weaker, but because you've grown clearer. Your soul is rejecting what no longer serves it, and your body is responding with truth. Honor that response. This isn't a call to isolate, it's a call to listen. Solitude, quiet spaces, nature, deep breathing, meditation. These will become sacred tools, helping you reset and restore. Not because you are escaping, but because you are recalibrating. In a world that often rushes and numbs, your sensitivity is a sacred rebellion, a signal that you are moving in harmony with your inner truth. It's important to protect your energy now, not in fear, but with intention. Not everyone or everything is meant to walk with you in this season. That's not judgment, it's discernment. Begin to notice what expands you and what contracts you. Who leaves you feeling seen, and who leaves you feeling small. Where your energy flows freely, and where it withers. Your sensitivity is not a burden. It's a gift, a compass, a guidepost leading you back to what is real. Don't ignore it, don't push through, respect it, because the more you honor your energetic boundaries, the more clearly you'll hear the voice of your spirit, and the more peaceful and powerful your path will become. Though the path of awakening can feel isolating at times, you were never meant to walk it alone. As your inner world transforms and your vision sharpens, you may notice something quietly miraculous beginning to take shape. A new community, one not built on proximity, but on soul resonance, will start to form around you. This is not a community of convenience. It is a sacred gathering of like-hearted souls, drawn together by unseen threads of shared purpose, mutual recognition, and spiritual alignment. These people may enter your life in unexpected ways. A brief conversation with a stranger that leaves a lasting impact. A book recommendation that leads to an important connection. A name that keeps surfacing until you finally pay attention. You'll begin to notice synchronicities, gentle nudges from the universe guiding you into encounters that feel strangely familiar, as if you've known these individuals before, perhaps in another lifetime. And perhaps you have. This community will not be based on appearances, status, or social performance. It will be rooted in truth, energy, and inner knowing. You will feel it in your body, a sense of safety, of recognition, of peace. In their presence, you won't have to explain your journey, your visions, your sensitivity. They will simply understand, because they too have walked through fire to stand in light. These connections will uplift you, challenge you, and remind you that your path, while personal, is part of something far larger, a collective awakening. The loneliness you once felt will begin to fade, not because you've returned to the crowd, but because you've found your soul family. And within this sacred circle, you'll experience the power of shared intention, of spiritual collaboration, of hearts beating to the same quiet rhythm. Do not rush this formation. Let it happen naturally. Trust the timings, trust the intuitive pulls, trust the soft yes your spirit gives when you meet someone who feels like home. This new community will not replace your journey, it will strengthen it. Together you will hold space for one another. Together you will rise. Because in this new world we are entering, no one ascends alone. And as you step more fully into your truth, you will see the right people will arrive, not to complete you, but to remind you that you were never alone to begin with. April 2025 will not be easy, but nothing truly transformative ever is. This month is not meant to break you, but to remake you. Not to punish, but to purify. What your eyes begin to see, both in the world around you and deep within yourself, will stretch you, challenge you, and ultimately free you. This is the season where illusions fall away, where masks dissolve and where truth steps forward, raw and unfiltered. There may be endings, but with every ending comes sacred space for a new beginning, a new vision, a new alignment with who you were always meant to be.